I'm thinking in retrospect that things are moving so fast that there are some children in here that won't experience the pleasure of being able to drive. They're already making cars that drive themselves and park themselves, so what do you have to do? By the time you get your license, the car is going to be driving itself. And that's a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
Because over time, you know, when you first took your driver's test, you had to know how to parallel park.
Amen.
Some of you don't even know how to park in them straight lines. You're all over the line. You had to know how to parallel park, and you had to be, when you finish, help somebody, you had to be at least 6 inches from the curb, or you got marked down. They don't do that anymore. You know, I was nervous one time when I going out of state, and you know, when you come back to California, you have to take another test. But I had California license when I went out of state, and so when I got to the other state, they said, well, that doesn't matter if you got California license. You're going to have this state license. I said, okay, fine. So I studied a little bit and went down there to take the test. Took the test, and I had, you know, unbeknownst, I've been driving already at least 10, 20 years or something, and they still want me to take a driver's test. So then I get nervous. I've been driving 20 years, but I get nervous. The guy gets in the car, and he tells me we go down the road, and, you know, and the speed limit is 35. I'm doing 25. He didn't say nothing. He says, hey, I want you to pull over. Next block, I want you to pull over the curb. And he said, once I pull over the curb and I stopped, he said, I don't know if you noticed, but that speed limit that you're driving in is 35. And you were driving 25. He says, I'm going to mark you down for that. Now, I'm really nervous. I'm thinking, if this guy has me to parallel park, this could be trouble. So what does he do? I want you. He says, pull up, and I want you to parallel park by this car. So I do it, and so happens it works out perfectly. I pull up right, I back in, within 6 inches away from the curb. So I passed, but I didn't pass fearless. Some things that we do in life, we do them fearless. It's like second nature. I'm not even worried about it. Oh, you going in to take this test? Yeah, I'm not even worried about it. I'm going to pass it. No problem. But I noticed later in my life, I get nervous about what I should know. Have you ever done that? Amen. Things that you think you know, things have changed. And it's not the same. They ask you questions on the driver's test. They asked me this one question, and of course, I was answering it logically. They said, if you're approaching an intersection and you're in the left lane, and as you approach the intersection, a car in the left lane on the other side turns in front of you, what do? I look to the answer that says, I slam on my brakes. Because that would be a natural thing that I would do, right? Because I don't want to hit them, and they don't want to hit me, but they acting crazy. But that's not the answer. The answer is that you don't put your foot on the brake. You take your foot off the accelerator, and you blow the horn. So now, if you hit them, of course, it's not your fault. But then you end up in rehab for 4 or 5 weeks. That didn't make any sense to me. But things, look at your neighbor and say, things have changed. So allow me, if you will, to talk this morning, because I'm really serious about some of you young folks, you'll never get a chance to drive. Think about it, if you are 10 or 12 right now, you won't get your license until you're 16. That's 4 or 5 years from now. And you may not even get it then, depending on whether you pass the test or not. And so you may not even have a chance to drive a car. You may have to get an older car that doesn't have all the electronics in it. Amen?
Amen.
In order to drive. Because the new system is you just get in and sit down and shut up. Huh? Isn't that true? If they're not developing, they are developing. And it's on its way. It is going to happen. And you think, how does that work if an electronic car is driving beside me and I put on my blinker? Does that electronic car see me? Because that's what I'm going to tell the police when they run into me. I'm going to say that electronic car didn't see me. I put on my blinker, but it didn't see me. Hallelujah. We had a good time last night as Morris. Thank God for those. See how y'all clap? Terrible, terrible. I'm going to say that again. We had a good time with Pastor Morris last night. Thank God for those of you that were able to go and be with us at the service. Two of the brothers are ones that I pastored earlier in their teens, and thank God for the mighty men of God and carrying on the sword of God. Amen. In this present time. Let's talk this morning from the book of 2 Kings, chapter 7, beginning at verse 3. I believe it's 3 and 4. We stand and honor the word of God.
2 Kings 3, 4. 7.
That means stand on your feet.
Amen.
2 Kings chapter 7, beginning at verse 3. And there were 4 lepers men at the entering in of the gate. And they said one to another, "Why sit we here until we die? If we say we enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall unto the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we shall die." Amen. And the Lord bless him to the reading and the hearers of his word. I want to talk this morning through these words. If you allow me, do something in faith. Say that with me, do something. In faith. Maybe your neighbor didn't get it. You could just turn to your neighbor and look him in the face. I don't say look him in the eye, because most of the time we don't look folks in the eye anyway. But if you can just look him in the face and say, do something in faith. Now this is an inspirational challenge. This should be a life-fulfilling message. You just don't need to watch things happen. Sometimes that's what we do.
Amen.
Sit around and we just watch things happen. I was talking Tuesday night about discernment, and some of us have discernment. We can discern something before it happens. Now I'm gonna preach, but I'm not gonna preach with y'all talking. The thing is that when you have discernment, you discern something before it happens. It's kind of unique how you can look at children playing and you can observe them and know in an instant that one of them is going to get hurt just by what they're doing, just by the action they're performing. So you automatically say, get somewhere and sit down, because you're going to get hurt. They don't always take your advice. Sometimes in the notion of taking your advice, they end up falling down anyway.
Amen.
So this is an inspiring challenge. But it says that you don't need to just watch. You can fight.
Amen.
Don't be stupid and say, well, I'm just going to jump. I'm just going to, whatever happens, I'm just going to jump. It doesn't matter. It feels a little hot, but that's okay. I'm just going to do it. I might get scorched a little bit, but I'm going to jump right into the fire. You better stay in the frying pan. Maybe God has you in the frying pan because you're not quite done yet. Hallelujah. You know, if you pull things out of the frying pan too quickly, they don't eat. You can't eat it right. It's not to the taste that you want it. You have to leave it in there long enough so it'll cook in the frying pan, y'all. Take action. Do something serious and big. Do it with God. How about that?
Yes.
Do it with God. This reminds me of a story that I heard where there was a ship, an oil tanker, on the sea, and while it was traveling, ship accidentally caught on fire. And many of the men who were on the ship, they perished by the fire. The life-saving jackets were destroyed from the fire. But there was one young lad on the ship who survived. And when they interviewed him, they asked him, how did you remarkably make it off the ship? And he made this statement. He said, I knew that if I remained in the ship, that I was going to be burned up. But I didn't know what I could face if I jumped into the water. So he said, I jumped into the water and I survived. Most of the time, we as people, we are more fearful of what happens in the future.
Come on, come on, Bishop.
Than what's happening right then and there.
Yes.
Amen.
This young man had enough courage to say, well, if I stay here, I know I'm going to die. the unknown. A lot of us wouldn't jump into the ocean because we can't swim. But you know what? I sure would try to swim instead of getting burnt up. In other words, I'm going to put a fight in. Oh, y'all won't help me. How many willing to put a fight in to stay in God? Hallelujah. You know very well that what can happen if you watch your life in worry, in boredom, sickness, or in poverty, fear or discouragement, even sin. You know exactly what will happen if you just sit around and watch your life. I tell you, it's time to do something about it. It's time to do something in faith. You already know what wrong thinking patterns will end up. You'll end up in a serious situation when you have the wrong thinking patterns.
Amen.
Not only that, you know that this and that kind of behavior will see you in trouble one day. But you keep on living like that. Why isn't it that you don't want to change and go the right way? Why isn't it that you don't want to do something in faith? Why stay like that until you die? Take massive action in your prayers and get positive results. You know, I'm not for divorce. I'm not for people separating. I'm not for people changing their lives just because, well, I've had a change of heart. You made a vow. Live with it, sucker. You make a decision that all of a sudden, I'm not getting what I want out of the relationship. So, you know, I'm done. Are you on the table or in the frying pan? Because if you're on the table, you're waiting to be cooked. But if you're in the frying pan, maybe you're not done yet. Sometimes God has to work on us. Sometimes God has to work on us. And you know what? We have to be willing to be worked on. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm willing to be worked on. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Have to be willing to be worked on. We have to be willing to take the heat. How many are willing to take the heat in your life? When you really want to do right, are you willing to take the heat? When you really want God to bless you, are you willing to take the heat? If you really want God to nourish you, are you willing to take the heat and stay in the fire? Hallelujah. Glory to God. Take something massive to move most of us. Been in church long enough to know how to get by. We know how to go through the actions. We know how to smile through frowns. Amen. We know how to do all those things to keep folks off us. I'm all right. God bless you. We know how to do all those things. But really, it takes something massive, a massive action to be able to get through the things of this life. Now, I want to go back to the text for a moment and let you know that these fellas in the above scripture that I read, they had a serious problem.
Amen.
And they were not only outcasts because they were lepers, but no one was allowed to be in contact with them. At the same time, the nation of Israel was under fire from their own enemies. During this time, there was a severe hunger thing that was going on, which I talked about. There was famine. And even the babies were being eaten in the city. They were cannibalizing because of the famine. There was no meat. There was nothing to eat. So they would volunteer and they would say, give up your baby and we'll eat your baby today, and then tomorrow you can eat mine. Because there was a serious famine in the land. Well, I will tell you folks that famine has creeped in a different fashion to where we are allowing our children not to be raised correctly. And you know, you can spot out a bad child almost a mile away. There they come, look, I see them already. Hallelujah. But what about yours? What about what you can control? We should do something massive. I'm not saying stop praying. I believe we should pray, but we should also talk too. Hallelujah. Glory to God. These men were in trouble because of the things that were going on at the time. In fact, if you tried to get a donkey's head was very expensive. And if you tried to buy one, you may not have the money for just a donkey's head. Can you imagine eating a donkey's head? There was a serious, fatal situation. The outside the borders were surrounded by the enemy. And there was death in the city and in the outside. Many people preferred to die in the city, and they would just sit around and not do anything and allow themselves to be overtaken by the enemy. They would look forward to being in the camps because they were just fed up and they were tired. But when these four lepers, when they began to move closer to the camp of the enemy, they got in their mind, they said, you know what, we're going to turn ourselves in. Amen. We're going to go to the enemy's camp. If we go there and the enemy kills us, well, fine. Because if we stay here, we're going to die. So we've got to do something. Hallelujah. So they began to approach the enemy's camp, and I've got to hurry along here. And something wonderful began to happen. In verse 6 of your lesson text, for the Lord has casted something over his enemy. Right. And look at what happened. They began to hear chariots and horses. As the four lepers began to get closer to the camp, their enemy began to hear horses and chariots coming. And it sounded like a great army. And so that they said amongst themselves, look, the king of Israel has hired the moving in the direction that God would have us. The enemy will flee. The enemy will get out of the way. But I got news for you this morning. There's not enough of us that will trust God for the things in our lives. We want to gain trust. In other words, I'll trust him if you help me. I'll trust him if you agree with me. And I know that works. Bible says if we touch and agree, that he's in the midst. There's no problem with touching and agreeing. But God is looking at you. First of all, you got to hear him, and you got to have no fear to move in the
direction of the enemy. Hallelujah. I'm not going to run anymore from the enemy. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to stand fast and move in his direction. In other words, I'm going to do something by faith. Hallelujah. I'm going to do something in faith. How many of us are waiting for God to do things in our lives? Hallelujah. If you wait long enough, you'll find out that God is waiting on you. And sometimes God has already done it. Thank you, Jesus. We can't see it, but God has already fixed it. We don't know it, but God has already delivered it. Hallelujah. Touch your neighbor and say, do something in faith. Tell somebody, do something in faith. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting on? You got the faith. Hallelujah. It doesn't take much to do it. Just the grain of a mustard seed. That little faith, God can move in that faith. God can move if you move in that faith. Somebody ought to clap your hands. Shout glory. Thank you, Jesus. Well, the enemy left the camp. Some of you got the enemy in your house and you fearful about going home. You fearful about getting to your house to see if it's going to be peaceful. Well, you ought to go to your house with a different attitude. Hallelujah. In other words, when you go to your house, before you get in your house, before you open the door, you tell the enemy, say, enemy, I'm coming in. And you need to shut your mouth. You need to get in your corner. In fact, get out of my closets. Get out of my bedroom. Hallelujah. See, home is supposed to be a place of reverence. Home is supposed to be a place of peacefulness. Not all radical and rough housing. Woo, hallelujah. But what do you expect when you get home? I expect everything to be the way I left it. Woo, hallelujah. So some of us need to clean up. Hallelujah. Some of us need to clean up around the house. We can't go away from the house and then come back and expect it to be all splashed. Spit shine. Everything in its place. Guess what? We're going to have to leave it that way. Amen.
Have you ever went to your room and said, who's been in my room? Something. All right, I'll put that over there. Have you ever done that? Oh, you know you sharp. You know you would where you lay everything. Even if the chair is kind of twisted a little bit. You know, I always leave that chair that way. That's just the way I like to leave it. So I don't know who tried to straighten it out. You know what's going on in your place. But why isn't it that we won't do something about what we know about?
Come on now.
What does that say about our character? What does that say about us? Is it that we don't trust God? Is it that we don't believe God? I remember coming up in the church. And when I decided I was going to just go ahead and do whatever I wanted, it wasn't much because I was scared. But when I started not going to church and just kind of hanging out, doing nothing, just doing what I wanted to do since I was in church from a baby. I figured, well, there's something else that I got to see other than pews and people. So I started adventuring. And as I adventured, I became convicted. And you know why I became convicted? It's because what was already poured into me, I didn't know how to outpour it. I didn't know how to get it out, what was already in me to do. So I began to fight with myself.
Amen. Amen.
I said, wow, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. If I went someplace, I felt out of place. Now you can figure that. You all up in the club and you know, but you feel out of place. And then you look around and you think you see somebody from the church. You're ready to go then, aren't you? So maybe some of y'all are not doing the club thing. It's okay. That's good. But if you're 40 years old and you're still doing the club, you need to put yourself in check. It's time out for that. And what are you looking for? What's there for you? When God is saying to your heart, I just need you to do something in faith. I just need you to step out on me in faith. I just need you to trust me by faith. Hallelujah. Can I close now? I believe this is important that they found the camp empty.
Amen.
Listen, they found the camp empty. And there was plenty of food in the camp. There was plenty of gold in the camp. They found weapons in the camp. Don't just sit and complain about your life. What? You know, I don't know why God won't do this. I don't know why he won't do that. Why are you complaining? You got the best of everything going in your life. If you got your health, you ought to say, Why are you wailing? Why are you mourning and wondering about things in your life if you can still move your legs? You ought to be grateful about it. There's somebody this morning that's in the hospital that can't move nothing. But here you are. You were able to walk in here on your own and then sit down. Hallelujah. You ought to be grateful about it. Thank you, Jesus. Not only that, but when you are in a situation and you can use faith, when you're in a situation and you can use faith and the power of God, it's a shame that you're talking about what you're in and you have the faith to expel it. I remember that, and I tell you often, me and my wife, we raised 7 children, and in the moment that we were raising them, I was the main breadwinner, and when we first started raising them, I wasn't making a big salary. In fact, I guess I was making a big salary, but I didn't think I was. But the Lord blessed us to raise them. But there was a few times on my way to work that I was giving up. See, y'all don't think that I got that in me, huh? But you go out here and start running 5 miles. I want to know where you start thinking I'm going to stop. Go on, just just, you don't have to put nothing on, just start running. Just take on off here on Fabiano and just start running and say, I'm going to run 5 miles. I want to know when are you going to stop?
All right.
Somehow or another, you got to have some extra energy somewhere. There has to be something that keeps on pushing you. There has to be something that keeps on guiding you. So I'm in my car and I'm driving. I'm saying, Lord, you know what? I can't do this. These kids are eating me out of house and home. You know, when they're small, they don't require much. Give them some chicken, get on out of here. They'll eat that and come back. Give them something else, they'll run away and come back. But when they start getting old, they have other requirements. First, it was 8 boxes of cereal. You know, the ones from Costco, got 2 and 3 bags in it. He was buying 4 and 5 boxes of that. And they weren't eating from regular bowls. They was getting salad bowls. Eating it from salad bowls, and they was pouring milk into the salad bowl. And you know, they wouldn't eat it while we were up. They'd wait till late at night. And they'd be in the kitchen in the dark. They wouldn't turn on the lights. They'd be just eating in the kitchen in the dark and eating cereal. And the reason why I found out that I woke up and I heard something like choo 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 choo. It sounded like a bunch of cows in the kitchen eating. But I came to the point and I said, God, I don't know. You're going to have to do this.
All right, all right.
I said, you're going to have to handle this because I can't handle it anymore. In fact, I have the church, I have the children, and then I've got to drive all this way to go to work. And sometimes gas was an issue. Y'all will help me. The Lord began to speak, and he said, don't you remember what I said? He said, I will take care of you in this. That was my confidence that the Lord would take care of it. Hallelujah. No matter what was going on, if the lights went out, God would give me money to go down to PG&E. Hallelujah. He promised me that I'll take care of you. But what you have to do, Hunter, is you have to do something in faith. You gotta trust me. In faith, you gotta believe me. In faith, you gotta walk with me. In faith, yes. How many in the house are willing to walk with God? No matter what, tell your neighbor I'm ready to walk with him. No matter what, stand to your feet. God knows I'll do it by faith. I'll do it in faith. I know in faith. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Maybe there's somebody here. I'm well over my time. But y'all not going to sit on me again. I don't care what you're doing in your life. I don't care what you're going through. You're not going to sit on me. I've been through too much. You're not going to sit on me. Not another Sunday. You better come with your mouth full of gum or something. So I can see that you're moving your mouth. But you're not going to sit on me. Hallelujah. The devil is a liar. That's what he does. Hallelujah. Maybe there's somebody here this morning who's heard the word. You understand that you have to do something in faith. Contradict what the enemy is setting up. What he's trying to do in your life. you're here and you want this prayer, I want you to come. Remember, I'm coming for the change to happen in your life. You're coming because you know that you can exercise the situation in faith, and God will change it. God will move it. Where you thought the enemy was, God has chased them all out. When you get to that place, you're going to find plenty. You're going to find your blessing. If you're here this morning, come on, let's pray. Thank you, Jesus.